So was Crawshay established here then? Or the
Crawshay
guest?
came much later. He was quite a few years later, wasn't he?
Yes, how it came about was that Richard Crawshay came from Yorkshire, and he travelled down to London to make his way, and got a job with an ironmonger, and the proprietor died a few years later and left him the business, and he built it up, and at some point he formed an alliance with Anthony Bacon, the original leaseholder here, and the financial backer. All the money came through Anthony Baker, so that Charles Wood, as his agent, would have to request money to be sent, checks to be made out, and then cash had to be transported up from down in the Vale of Glamorgan.
Well, so mainly Bristol, I think. I think the banks they tended to use there was one in Brecon, but mainly I think it was the one in Bristol was the. So again, it's involved in the banking slave trade. That is Bristol, So, it's important to realise that a lot of this only happened because of money that came out of
Slavery.
Of the slavery. Slave trade. I mean, I don't know if Bacon was actually a slave owner, but he was involved in the transportation and the arrangements of these things going on,
And yes, it's an interesting tale. Anthony Bacon is a very important figure. He, for in the commercial life and the political life of the time. But eventually, his agent Charles Wood died here in the 1770s, and after that, Bacon at first had had other arrangements, but a partner came in eventually, and that was Richard Crawshay, then based in London, where of course Bacon had been as well, and maintained his house and his household there, and his boat on the River Thames, as a boat as an MP. Charles Wood describes how he trekked to London to update Anthony Bacon and ask permission to buy for the Cavartha enterprise to buy up the Plymouth blast furnace, and he got that permission, and Anthony Bacon gave him a ride in his boat on the River Thames. It was.
But of course,
there's a lot in there.
He negotiated a lot over the farming land that was around here, because they would. They fetched some timber over from Aberdeen, didn't they? It's mentioned in the diary, I seem to recollect. So they'd be putting in stuff from a long way, for it, and. But they took over a lot of the farms and used the farms as dormitories for some of them. And I think he himself, he lived on the site, didn't he? He built, initially I think he was in a farm, and then didn't he build a house on the site land?